It's The Play is the Thing with your host, Judy Sleed. Today's special guest, Jay Schneiderman, Deputy Presiding Officer, Suffolk County Legislator. Now with a man who has been re-elected more times than some of you have been alive, Judy Sleed.
Hello once again. For the Play is the Thing, I have Jay Schneiderman in the hot seat.
Not so hot. It's quite comfortable over here.
So happy to have you on my show again.
Thanks, Judy.
And so many things happened. It's been a few years, right?
At least, yeah. Quite a number of years.
And you don't look a day older.
Oh, thank you. And you look great, too. It's nice to see you again.
Yes. And you're from the same country as I am.
Well, half of me is. On my mother's side, yeah, we're both Hungarian.
You're right. Your mother was born in Budapest.
She was. People may not know this, but Budapest is actually divided on each side of the river, as you may know. So Buda is one side and Pest is the other. So my mother is from Pest.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really?
From Pest, and it's the Danube River.
The Danube River.
Yes.
You know, I once went over there when I was maybe, I want to say 20 years old.
Yes.
My mom was still alive at that point. Just to try to get a sense of the environment, the countryside, and, you know, where at least that side of my family came from. And it was still communist, actually, during that time when I was there. And I got the visa, and of course I don't speak Hungarian, except for, you know, a couple words my mother taught me, like hogy vagy. You know?
Yeah.
You probably speak a little bit, right?
Yes, I do.
Right? That means I love you, right? Hogy vagy?
No, that means how are you?
How are you? How do you say I love you?
Szeretlek.
Szeretlek.
Imádlak.
Ah. Well, a little Hungarian.
Yes. Well, how come your mother didn't teach you Hungarian?
I have no idea. She just taught me some words, but she still spoke. Now, my mom came over when she was fairly young. But let me just finish the story. So I go over to Pest, and I get off of a train, and I wander around just a little bit, and then I get back on a train, and I get on the wrong train. I get on the wrong train, and I end up in no man's land trying to figure out how to get back. And I didn't have the right papers. It was very controlled, and it was. I actually had to get off of the train when it was slowing down at some point. I was really confused, and I got off. I got back on another train going the other direction to try to get back, but I didn't have a ticket, and I ended up having to pay some money to the ticket guy on the train, you know, like a bribe. Because I didn't have a ticket. But anyway, I ended up making it back. But it was very challenging not speaking the language and getting around at that time in Hungary. And it was very poor, very poor. It was before they kind of rebelled against the government there and had their, their revolution of sorts in Hungary.
That was in '56.
That was around the time when the wall was coming down. No, this was later. This was
well, the revolution
80s.
was in '56.
Yeah.
But they must have had another one.
Well, they were communist, and they kind of pushed that out and became more of an Eastern, more allied with the European Union. I don't remember the year, but all those Soviet countries. This is like when the wall came down, the Berlin Wall came down. It was prior to that, but a lot of those countries, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, they all kind of had an independence movement back, I think, in the 80s. I could be wrong. I'm not a historian. But it was interesting times. Yeah.
Having that kind of background or knowledge must have an effect the way you handle the Hamptons in your position.
Well, my parents definitely influenced me.
Yes.
So my mom was orphaned in Hungary.
Yeah.
Her parents died when she was around 14. I want to say it was around 1936, somewhere in there. And there was really nobody to take care of her. And she was living with a relative that was kind of abusing her, not physically as much as they kind of turned her into a servant, like a housemaid, do all the chores. They didn't really want to take care of this extra child. And so they had her just basically doing chores. And a relative of hers who was already in America heard about it and demanded that my mom be put on a boat and sent to America. And she actually got on the boat. She must have been 15, 16 years old at the time, only spoke Hungarian, and she got sent to America. And it's interesting because the woman, her relative in America, Maria, is the mother of a guy named Andy Grove. I don't know if you've heard of the name Andy Grove. Andy Grove, who was my mother's first cousin, went on to start a company, a small company, which today is called Intel. So he was the founder, CEO, chairman of Intel, and became a billionaire. Helped invent the semiconductor. My mother always said he was a genius. But it's interesting. So he came from Hungary around the same time as my mother did. I think, right around the same year. It's an interesting story. But my parents, they lived through the Great Depression.
And your father was American?
Yeah, his parents came from Kiev.
Oh, Russia.
Today in Ukraine, Russia at the time. And so, they had been through a lot with the Great Depression. And my dad was a veteran of World War II, active duty in the Navy. And he fought in Korea as well, the Korean conflict. So, they definitely shaped who I am and how I think. And sometimes I'm a bit too frugal, I think, because they grew up in the Great Depression and they were always money conscious. But I guess having our elected officials who handle our money be conservative when it comes to money, I think is probably a good thing. So
it is.
It's probably not a bad training. But my parents were very socially responsible, conscious people. They volunteered and they did good things for the community, and they no doubt shaped who I am. So they're both gone now. They're both have passed away. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that that cousin of your mother's became a millionaire or
Billionaire.
That he came at the same time as she did. Well, George Soros came at the same time as I did.
Wow.
And look what happened to him, and look where I am.
Oh, stop.
I mean,
we all contribute in our own ways.
Yes, it is just amazing how he came out the same year, and I don't know if he came out to maybe relatives, rich relatives or what, but it's interesting about people's backgrounds. So you are very famous out here for your cones. Every time I see a cone,
the dunce cap on my head?
I think of you.
Well, we're going to have to explain to some people what you're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was town supervisor, as you know, in East Hampton, and then I left for the county. So I've been a county legislator for a number of years. I'm also a deputy presiding officer of the county now, too. So it's like vice president of the legislature, so to speak. So when I got to the county, one of the biggest challenges for me was to deal with the traffic jam that was coming out to the Hamptons. The county owns a stretch of highway called County Road 39.
Yes.
But people often think it's Route 27. But when they're coming on the main highway, they're driving, and then it used to be they would merge from 2 lanes down to 1 lane right at the point where that restaurant is, the Lobster Roll, Lobster Inn or something like that. On the left, there's a place there. I forget the name, near the college. It's a little bit west of the college. And they would go 1 lane, and it would go all the way down to where Pier 1 Imports, where you turn left as you're heading east. So that traffic bottleneck, the traffic jam would go on for 4 or 5 miles. People would sit in traffic for an hour, 2 hours every day. So that was one of my biggest challenges, is to break that bottleneck and add an extra lane. So one of the first things I proposed was to create an extra lane without widening the road, but use the left turning lane, which, you know, the center lane.
Yeah.
In the mornings, if we could line up cones, traffic cones, have that be an eastbound lane in the morning, and then use that extra lane in the afternoons as they're heading west. So east in the morning, west in the afternoon. Hope I said that right.
Yeah.
And it really was very difficult, actually, to get all the pieces in place. I needed a lot of cooperation. Southampton Police Department, they were critical. Southampton Town Board, County Department of Public Works, so many different players to make it happen. And I got an approval initially for 1 week, that we would try it for a week. And the county executive and I shook on it, and we did it. And it was so effective. It was so effective that when the week was over and they tried to end the program, everybody's phones were ringing off the hook. They couldn't take, they had to go back. So that first year, we ended up running it from, I think, Memorial Day all the way through like Thanksgiving. You know, every time they tried to kill the program, the public would demand we put it back. And then the following year, we actually added the extra lane. So it was permanent. It actually took 2 phases, but now as you're heading east, it's 2 lanes the entire way, all the way down to Pier 1. So it was a great accomplishment. You know, it's a kind of a silly thing. You don't, I want to be remembered for, you know, some of the open spaces I preserved, or, you know, some of the social issues I've addressed. But I think a lot of people associate the widening of the road and adding that extra lane with me. But that really did make a big difference in people's lives.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you were also instrumental, or is still doing it, having the people who work for the rich, having them live here for housing.
Well, that's, you know, and this is a topic for a longer conversation, but clearly one of the reasons why we have so much traffic is because the people who work in our area, a lot of them can't afford to live here.
Yes.
So I have been trying to address that on a number of fronts. So I was able to get more bus transportation, because a lot of these people don't make a lot of money. They can't afford to have a car. So we've added a lot of buses out here, including Sundays. We never had buses before on Sundays. We have buses on Sundays. But I've also looked at trying to create affordable housing, both in Southampton and East Hampton, and trying to facilitate that. When I was supervisor, we put a lot of affordable housing development ideas on the table. Some have moved forward, some have not. In Southampton, there's been a lot going on as well, so it's helping. It's helping, as you know.
So you're doing a lot of good out here.
Trying.
You are very popular.
Oh, thanks.
So what are you running for?
What am I running for? The border.
The border.
running for cover. No, well, it's interesting you ask, because the position I'm in has actually term limits. I can only be county legislator for 6 terms, 6 2-year terms, so 12 years. I'm in my last term. So I can't run for this position again.
Well, you can't.
So I have to find something else to do. But I'm not planning on disappearing. I'd like to stay involved. So
yeah, you need to.
So either it's going to be an elected office, or hopefully someplace in government, or community service.
So what is the next step?
We'll see. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
A secret.
Yeah, it's too early.
Well, if nothing else, you could become a musician. You played the drums. Last time you were here, you played the drums.
I still play, yeah.
And you were not only playing it, you were very knowledgeable about it. I learned things that I never knew before, that it had notes and rhythm and all that. I thought it was just...
just banging. I've been playing drums since I was a kid, a little kid.
Yeah.
I love it. I tried to get my own children involved. My daughter tried piano for a while, and it wasn't for her. And my son played a little drums, played a little piano, but he's pretty much dropped it too. Though he is, he's actually still drumming in school band. But he's not playing the drum set anymore, but he is playing. He's got a concert coming up. He's playing castanets in one piece, and I'm sure he's playing bass and snare drum and others. You know, concert band.
My son I used to drive him and used to play the drum on the dashboard.
Oh, yeah, I do. I do
He
that
broke
too.
the plastic
Yeah.
on it.
Do you play an instrument?
The piano.
Oh, you do. That's
Yes.
right. And you write. I know you've written songs, right?
I'd written songs.
wrote a
I'd
musical.
Yes, I did a musical and a play.
That's great.
And I actually teach piano sometimes. And a lot of things I'm
Very
doing, but
multi-talented woman.
very few people know all these things. I'd written a children's book.
Me too, actually.
You too? Oh, you have to show it to me.
I wrote and illustrated a children's book.
You're kidding me. What did you do? Is it published?
It's self-published, yeah.
Oh, self-published.
It's I like it. Yeah, I have to get it out there. It's called The Stonecutter. It's an adaptation of a ancient Chinese fable, and it's got a great message.
Oh,
and,
I'd like to see it. Where is it? Where are you selling it? Amazon?
Online, Lulu. Lulu. It's a self-publishing website.
Oh, well, you have to tell me about it because I self-published mine, and I just it was published twice by different people, but it's all in the distribution. And
Yeah, I have to get that in motion. The Montauk Bookshop has my book.
Oh, really?
And I talked to somebody at Bookhampton who said that they would carry it as well, but I've been so busy that I mean I don't know how you make a living selling books. That's
I don't know either. I just met two people who had written children's books, and I keep asking them how you doing with it.
yeah. Are they doing okay?
Well, yeah, one is doing actually. He's an editor at the East Hampton Star. T.E. McMorrow.
Okay.
He published a book, but he has an editor. He didn't self-publish. And then last week or a couple of weeks ago, I had Mackenzie Willis on my show. He self-published a book, and he's selling it on Amazon. And he had is it Henry Mancini or
Henry
one of
Mancini?
one of the famous songwriters' cousin had written music to his book.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and he's been out here in the Hamptons, in Bridgehampton, reading, and West Hampton, and he's going to come to East Hampton to read in the library.
I was just at the Children's Museum. They asked me to, the one in Bridgehampton, and they asked me to do a reading of my book there.
You
so
should
I will
that.
do that.
Yeah, I did that once with my book.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get together as a children's authors club.
There you go.
Let's figure out how to make money.
I need to find, if anybody's out there, I need to find a children's book publisher. So
it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, I'd love to show the book to a publisher, see what they think.
Okay, so I could give you a few. After the show, we could talk about it.
So what else we got going on?
Well, as I said, I'm going to put my play into schools for educational purposes. And I talked to the lady who does the drama in East Hampton High School, Debbie Mazur.
Okay.
And she was on my show last week.
Well, I have a background, as you may know, in education. So I was teaching before I got into politics.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
I still try to do things with the schools because I love that. And one of the things I'm working on right now is working with school groups on educating them about Lyme disease and about, and other tick-borne illnesses. And we got a good little team that we put together. We produced an educational video, which we should get here at LTV. It's very good. And it just basically, it's about preventing Lyme disease, recognizing the symptoms, knowing what to do if you are bit by a tick, because it really is a growing epidemic. There's so many people who are affected, and it's not, it's not an easy thing to stop, but it's an easy thing to prevent. It's easier to prevent it if you know what to look for, and if you catch it early, it's very treatable. It's when you get bit and you don't do anything about it that it can be a real chronic problem. So we really are trying to get to the kids, particularly at like that intermediate school, middle school level, and educate them, because they're the ones out in the woods. They're jumping on their bikes.
Yeah.
They're going into places where they're likely to get bit, and I think it's really important to let them know how to avoid getting bitten by a tick, and certainly what to do if you are bit.
It's always good to prevent something then after you get it.
Oh
It's
yeah, we're going to
much
be doing
easier.
assembly. There's a guy named Brian Kelly who's with East End Flea and Tick Control. He's one of the people we have on this educational team, and he actually had a costume made. We had talked about this, and this is for really working with the little kids. But he had a costume professionally made. It's a tick costume,
Oh, gosh.
and it's a tick. It's a 5 foot, 6 foot tall tick.
Oh,
With all like the 8 legs of the tick, and it's a scary thing, but it's also quite funny. So, the idea is you come onto the stage and at the school, out comes this giant tick. It's a fun idea. But he actually had it made. It cost him thousands of dollars, but it's maybe at Halloween it'll be out and about.
oh, great. Yeah,
Maybe I can borrow it for Halloween.
Yeah, I have also converted my children's book into a play, and it's been done in a couple of elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good.
I have big plans.
What's the message of your play?
Of the
The children's book.
children's
What's the
book?
children's book? Yeah.
The message is that we all need each other. Nobody is good just by themselves.
Isn't that the truth? Huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it has a moral to the story. It's a fantasy. It's entertaining, and it is all the good things that a story needs. It's timeless, also.
That's great.
Yes. So
We'll have to read it. We'll have to trade children's books.
yes,
The message in mine is about discovering your own unique gifts, that we have inside of us all that we need, to lead us on our journey. And the main character gets kind of drawn off his path by illusions of grandeur, so to speak, and only to discover that inside of him was what he was seeking all along. So
I like that.
it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool story.
So we have to do something to get it out there, all this good stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things out there, they don't mean anything. The way I look at it, a lot of this, out of the stories. And when there is something with a good message, I think it's important to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, you're not going to tell us what you're going to run for.
You want to know, yeah. No, but you'll
But
find out.
I tell you, if you're going to decide to run for president, I'll vote for you.
Oh, thanks.
Whatever
thanks.
you run for, I'm going to vote for you.
Appreciate
Yes.
it, yeah. Well, I feel like I'm living in two towns these days because I'm, I still live in Montauk. So, I try to follow local politics in East Hampton. But, my kids go to school in Southampton. They live with their mom.
Yeah.
More than with me as well. So I'm very involved in Southampton and East Hampton, both communities, which is kind of nice, too. And with the county, I represent not only all of East Hampton and all of Southampton. I also represent Shelter Island, which is a great community. And I also represent a little, small area of Brookhaven. So it's really a lot of area to cover. So I'm often driving all about.
It seems to me that you, with all these representations and titles, that you must be extremely busy.
I'm busy. I'm busy. I think I take on things. Like if I see something that needs to be addressed, so sometimes I make myself busier than perhaps I would otherwise be. Like right now, I've been looking at some broad regional environmental issues having to do with the Long Island Sound and the Peconic Estuary. I've been concerned about rising temperatures in both those bodies of water and why the temperature is rising and how it's affecting the ecology of the Long Island Sound and the Peconic Estuary. For instance, like our lobster population is pretty much gone in the Long Island Sound, wiped out. Because
Wow.
it needs colder water, and the water's warmed up too much. The winter flounder population, it's pretty much gone. The water's too warm. And I've been trying to get to the bottom of why it's warming up so quickly. And one of the things I've been looking at is thermal pollution, actually heat that's being put in the Long Island Sound by the nuclear power station in Connecticut. There's a power station that powers half of Connecticut called Millstone. And to cool down the nuclear reactor, they pump water from the Sound into the reactor, and then they release it, 2 billion gallons a day.
Oh my gosh.
And they warm it up about 25 degrees from where it comes in and where it comes out.
It's amazing.
It's 17 billion
we have to come back
BTUs.
and
Yeah.
talk about that because our time is up.
Oh. No, so it's
But
interesting.
it's a great topic, and it's amazing that we have you in this area so we could remedy that. I want to thank Lupita for doing my hair. Susan did it today. And I want to thank all my underwriters. And of course, Jay, it's been a pleasure. I always wondered with the Hungarian mother, how did she name you Jay? It's not a Hungarian name.
We might have to talk about it the next show because it's not my birth name.
Oh, that's not your birthday.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
We'll have to
about
save that for the next show.
I said, she's from Budapest and Jay is not. And you said your sister was Helen, or is Helen. Helen is a Hungarian name.
Helen is. And
Oh, so now you tell me that.
if you look at my birth certificate, Jay is my middle name.
Oh. So we're not on the air anymore, so you could.
So it's actually.